Good morning and welcome back to another Open Farm Days adventure. You look like you're ready to hit the road. This toy is so fun, this little car. You like your little car? This morning we are off to the Hahn Angus Meat Market. So it's a different Open Farm Days adventure. They are going to be doing a brisket carving demo, which we like to smoke meat. The hubby likes to smoke meat. So I think that is right up his alley. And then they'll be serving brisket for lunch. So we're going for the food, which I'm really excited about. They do have some other demos later on in the day. I'm not sure if we're going to stay that long. Yeah, or if we'll go to another farm that I was looking at. But yes, we're going to hit that one up first thing here this morning. Yesterday, we were out at Quiet Hills Ranch out in Hay Lakes, and it was lovely. If you haven't seen that video yet, go and check it out. Last year, we did several farms that were east of the city, just because we had Lilu, and she was very small, so we did all really close ones. But I have to do a shout out to like the Jackson homesteaders, because they had the best tractors like we've ever experienced. Like, they had tractors galore. So if you have a tractor loving boy like I do, that one was super, super good. And then we also, in previous years, we went out to Lacombe and we did the bison and honey farm, and that one was like really, really good. I can't remember the name of it now, but I will put it here. So that one was also one we really liked. We've also done a yak ranch in the past. So yes, this year it's more about pastoralists and the grasslands, I think it is. So that's the theme for this year. So I really wanted to hit ones that were to do with like Alberta beef, because that is what we are famous for, or well known for. And there are more cows in Alberta than there are people. So we have to go and support local. My dad runs a farm with cow-calf pairs and beef cows down in southern Alberta. So we get lots of time and exposure to cattle and like the cattle industry, and he also has crops as well, I should say. So we do go down to the farm and visit, and obviously my tractor loving boy adores his time on the farm, but being able to go and check out other farms is something I really enjoy. So anyway, enough rambling, come on with us, let's go check out the Hahn Meat Market today. We're here.
In the phone. Is this a phone?
This is the Hahn Angus Meat Market. They got a really cool gate. That is sharp. Morning.
Past the big barn to your right.
Great.
Thank you.
Yeah, what is it? It has tractor.
He does have a tractor.
You said no, and it was.
I wasn't sure, honey.
Well, this is farmland, so it should be.
It should have tractors because it's farmland. Lincoln. They don't always go together. Oh, hi.
Behold,
Big
my
barn.
little
Oh, hi. You woke up just in time. We've just arrived.
cage.
Did you and Dolly have a nice nap? Yeah.
And more machine noise.
Lincoln, what else is there? More
Machinery.
More machineries. More tractors and things for you.
By them.
Let's go park by the machinery. Oh yeah, look here, lots.
Oh, wheels on this bad boy. 8-wheel tractor. The thing's huge.
That's a patch tractor.
Set up here. They got solar
Oh.
panels.
Solar galore. Grandpa
Big
liked to see
solar
that.
panel section.
Those look taller than your dad.
They do look tall, hey? For those of you that are new here, my name is Donna, and here on this channel we chat about homesteading in the city, and I share a ton of our family adventures. I'm a stay-at-home mom to 3 kids, and I'm homeschooling. We have urban backyard chickens. We also have a worm bin, and I love to garden and cook with sourdough, all those crunchy things. But this adventure is all about heading out to open farm days, checking out farms. I love sharing with my kids where their food comes from, what it means to be a farmer. I have a boy who loves tractors and loves farming, so this is a great opportunity for him to get out there and check out some other farms. Open Farm Days. This year, the 2026 theme is Rangelands and Pastoralists. And I had to look up what pastoralism is because I wasn't totally sure. But pastoralism is a form of animal husbandry where domesticated animals, known as livestock, are released onto large vegetated outdoor lands or pastures for grazing. Historically, this was by nomadic people who moved around with their herds. The animal species involved include cattle, camels, goats, yaks, llamas, reindeer, horses, and, of course, sheep. Those who practice pastoralism are called pastoralists.
It's so happy. A private bar here. Pretty sweet.
The Hahn Angus Meat Market is located just south of Sherwood Park, and it only took us about 15 minutes to drive out to. It's really so cool how very close we live to farmland, even though we are in the city of Edmonton. My hubby said the most interesting thing to him was learning that the owner isn't just a full-time farmer, that he is also an accountant, and he had lots to share from both perspectives as a farmer and an accountant.
Arenas, that's why there's wood on the bottom. So when horses run circles, and if they ever kicked out, they would never get hurt. So this is where I always believe in building something for possible future sale. Right now, all of my equipment is in here, so this equipment is being treated with tender loving care. Usually equipment that I've got stuff outside as well, but sun is terrible on tires and paint and all kinds of stuff. So the intention is, for now, I'm using this as my equipment storage. Just a couple of things. This is a combine in the back corner. This is what you use to harvest grain from the stalks, like if it's barley, the stalks of the seeds. This machine will take the seeds, put it into a bin, and separate the straw, which has no food value. It comes out the back end, and we bale it into big round bales. And that's what we use for bedding. That's what makes cows happy about lying down on frozen dirt. That brand new, this machine is 25 years old. But because it's inside, it still looks nice, right? Mm-hmm. But brand new, that's $1 million. The header, the piece in the front that cuts the grain, can easily be another $200,000 to $300,000. So grain farmers, like I'm telling you, that yes, they don't work all year round, but they have huge risk in terms of how much they're putting into the ground, not knowing whether they're going to get a return or not. So 1.2 million for that piece of equipment. Beyond that, you need something called an air seeder. This is really old technology. We haven't used this for years. We usually just contract that out. But a brand new air seeder, and what that does is to take the seeds, plant the seeds and fertilizer all in one pass. That's what that machine does. And that could be $300,000-400,000, I think, easy, maybe even a lot more than that, I don't know. And then you need a tractor to pull it. The tractor to pull it probably needs to be 500 horse or thereabouts. That tractor is probably $700,000 or $800,000 to be able to pull something that would be new, not this one. This is worth $5,000.
So much money, right? Hahn Angus Meat Market is a homegrown Angus beef operation, cattle farm focused on quality, sustainability, and direct sales. For Open Farm Days, they gave a behind-the-scenes look at their family-run farm where they raise premium homegrown Angus beef. They had brisket smoking preparations and cutting demonstrations lined up. They had farm tours, photo stations, and a chili or brisket lunch. Another interesting element that they had and do is the Angus genetics. They raise Angus cattle with strong genetic lines, and they keep up with the latest in genetic testing to ensure that the herd is healthy, efficient, and consistently high quality. And he just really shared about how they do a lot of the testing, like they're testing the semen and the embryos and the eggs of the animals, and even just fine-tuning the physical traits of the animals, like when they look at them, depending on their hooves and the shape of their heads, just really lining that up to have those, like he said, really strong Angus genetic lines.
That are a bit more blocky in the shoulders. That means that the babies are harder to deliver. Would be more like a cow bull's experience. So these guys probably weigh 2,000 pounds. We like these two guys because they have lots of stretch to them. If you look at the ribeye area, which is right behind the shoulders, that's the most expensive part of the meat. We're trying to grow that ribeye area as long as we can. And if you look at any animal, if you put a rectangle beside their body, we're trying to fill up that body with as much animal as possible. If you put that rectangle on a dairy cow, you'd see lots of space. But for a beef cow, we want to fill that all up with meat. So that's the goal. So if you take a rectangle, put this beside these guys, that would be pretty cool. The other thing, traits that we look for on all animals, we run a purebred operation. So we're very particular about feet. It's the foot set. The feet that are more pointed down like this with a strong ankle, pastern, etc. They will wear off their toes easily, nature-wise. Whereas if they're splayed out like this, the toes grow out and you have to trim them. The idea of never having to trim feet is the goal. So anything that's purebred and has feet that are out or in or bow-legged, none of that gets to be a breeding bull or a breeding female.
How many years will they be in service?
Probably, if they don't go too big, sometimes they just get too big. 5-6 years. We've got customers that breed bulls, use our bulls for 8 years, 9 years. So,
and they get along.
They do get along only because they've been together for a long time. These guys here, these are all bulls on these pens, but they've been together all winter long, so they're buddies. In the wintertime especially, there will be this big tussle before it gets dark out. So they have their shoving matches, and often these guys do not get that same ration because we're just trying to keep their weight off. They're just not walking around. They're not working anymore, right? So they're wishing they had barley, but they do not need. Like if you look at their body score, body score is from 1 to 5. These are easily probably a 4. In other words, they do not need more feed. So.
That's what he thinks about that.
Mom, look out!
He does not agree.
Mom, look how big their eyeballs are. They're like 2 of my eyeballs.
Yes. Obviously, there's a huge draw with the lunch for us, but they had the meat shop there, and each Saturday they stock a selection of farm fresh Angus beef, steaks, roasts, ground beef, stewing cuts, and specialty orders. This is a nice setup.
Crispy!
Okay, which season can you enjoy the county's trails?
When do you think you can enjoy trails?
Summer.
You can in the summer. How many seasons are there? 4. There's 4. Do you think you can walk in the wintertime?
Climbing the hill. Oh, there's one.
Hey, cow!
Boys, come back down, please.
He's a bull!
Enjoy all the rocks in your shoes now.
Lincoln, I think that's a mixer on the back. You put the food in it. It's like a feed truck, but on a tractor.
Yeah, I know that. I know
You know that?
Oh, I know that.
Because that's what that blue thing is. I think it's a mixer mill. They mixes up the food, and then you go feed the cows.
Grandpa has one of those in his old shed.
In the back there with the plastic and the hay bales. What is that?
A mixer.
No, the plastic. You should recognize that. Grandpa has one too. The big pile. What's that?
Silage.
And what do we do with silage?
Feed it to cows.
Feed it to cows. That's cow food.
Tractor's over here. One tractor's even moving.
A tractor's moving.
Look backwards!
Oh my gosh, there is a tractor coming.
Get off the wall! Get off the wall! Look!
There's a tractor coming.
Oh.
Look at this tractor coming, Lincoln, hey?
Mixer is a big corkscrew, and if anybody would like to go up and look, everything's turned off. There's no danger. You can climb up and just look inside. There's a big corkscrew in there, and it takes all the different foods that the nutritionist tells us that we need for our. These are particularly lupulls. They're waiting for breakfast. They're right at the trough. So what's going to happen is this has been mixing in there. So there's been some silage in there. That means that it's a barley that's not mature. You can cut in pieces, and then it insiles. It's kind of like sauerkraut for cows. So on top of that, we add some hay, maybe some straw, and then you saw me load some barley here. The barley is to spike the protein, because they need a lot more protein than otherwise. So our nutritionist would tell us exactly what blend all of that needs to be. So then we're watching, this is a weigh scale that you see here, that white box. Tells me exactly how many pounds of each product that I put in there. And so it's been mixing now, and then I'll turn that weigh scale to the side, and I know how many pounds per animal that I'm going to put into this bunk here. So they're fed exactly the same ration every single day, so there's no changes. It's very predictable. Cows are different than humans. We like to have variety. They do not like variety. They turn their nose up. They like everything to be consistent. They also like a lot of, barley is like candy to them. So the more barley, they would like even more. However, we're trying to control the growth. We like our animals to gain 3 to 4 pounds per day, and that's what our target is. So our animals, we expect them right from the date of birth until whatever that might be. We expect every animal here to gain between 3 and 4 pounds per day, every single day of their life.
Cool.
The ones that are really good at feed conversion will gain 4 to 5 pounds a day, with the same ration, and it's all by genetics. So from a farm point of view, it's all about the number of pounds you can put on an animal, whether it's chicken or pork or beef, the number of pounds that you put on per day and with the least amount of feed. So that's the game that farmers are playing against. Any questions about that?
What would be, sometimes how you hear like just grass-fed beef?
Yep.
What would be basically a bit of a difference, or that they would gain less weight, obviously, without the barley, I'm assuming?
I love that question because the definition of grass-fed is very different from a farmer point of view. What we define grass to be is hay, like lawn grass or grass that might have barley in it or whatever. That's what we consider grass. A&W considers barley to be grass. So if you cut barley early enough, there's lots of value in the stems, and the heads, when we do our silage, the heads are not fully formed. They're just in a doughy stage. So from my point of view, I have grass-fed beef. But because we add barley, and barley is what makes the meat taste better, and all the marbling and the white fat, we use barley to fatten our animals. Other
You said
food
that's what
rations.
A&W does though, is barley, right? You said barley is considered grass.
Yep.
A&W?
Yep.
So that is a good thing then. No?
Yeah, it is. And
It's not your mix, but it's a...
if you had pure grass-fed beef, it would have very little fat, and the fat would be yellow.
Okay.
So the yellow fat can either be from grass-fed beef, or a lot of corn-fed beef is also yellow, and it has a very different taste. If you're from southern states, that's what you like. Alberta beef, we pride ourselves on white fat and barley fat. That's the difference between Alberta beef and everybody else.
You said you can climb up there?
Yeah, you want to have a look? Yeah.
80 like bulls or
80 breeding cows.
80 breeding cows.
So
Oh.
then we have their young stock. So the 80 cows, their babies are with them. So that's 80. That's 160 plus replacement heifers.
Okay,
which
yep.
So we'll be probably 250.
Okay, 250.
All of the cows and their babies are all on pasture right now.
Yeah.
The guys are next.
I guess you only get fed once a day. You gotta live it up.
Mommy, you gotta go inside the shop.
Yeah, I'm excited to go inside the shop.
There's even top. It kind of.
I like to think it gets the cows just a little drunk.
It's coming back.
Cows? Is that cows?
Back up, Lincoln. He's coming back.
That they talked about. So it was surveyed back then, but so the quarter section back in 1935 cost him, any guesses?
$5.
A little bit more. $600.
Oh yeah.
$600, but there are no services. No, this is living off the grid. No electricity, nothing. So he had horses. He had to develop an acre or two per year because he was opening up the land around here. I often ask my dad, why didn't you buy land in Ellerslie, which is just 5-6 miles to the west, and that is just ideal farmland. This is not ideal farmland. We only have 3, 4, 5 inches of topsoil. This is called gray wooded soil here. Ellerslie has, I don't know how many feet of black topsoil. It's just fantastic farmland, but of course that's where we're building houses, and that's where Edmonton is now.
Oh, funny.
Really, Edmonton should be located this direction and not that direction. But I'm just saying, I'm a farmer, I'm not a city planner. So, 1935, the barn was built roughly 1945. This was a dairy barn at that point. My mom and dad milked no more than 30 cows. 30 cows back in the day afforded you a very good lifestyle and educated all 4 of us kids. The other 3 decided they didn't enjoy farming. One became a preacher of all things. So I bought the farm in 1985. Back in that time, the fair market value was about $150,000 for this 80 acres, which was probably my best investment I've ever made.
No kidding. This is the calving barn behind me, which I thought was really neat because like at my dad's farm, they just calve wherever and they're calving in the spring. But because he does purebred calves, they have to calve in January or February. So they have the 80 head here, and then when they calve, they go into the heated barn and the calf dries off for a couple days before the mom and the calf come out, which I thought was really cool. We are just about to roll out from the Hahn Angus Meat Market, which was awesome. It was such a good Open Farm Days experience. He did a really good job with the tour and describing things and sharing costs and answering questions. So I just thought this was a really informative and a really fulfilling Open Farm Days experience. We went for the food, and the food was really delightful. It was $7 for a brisket or for a chili, and the brisket was lovely. It was really, really lovely, well done. And they had obviously the meat market there, so you could buy beef if you wanted to on hand, and they had stuff for the kids like sidewalk chalk and little goodie toys. But yeah, like I said, he did a tour, like basically a full tour of the farm, and they also did a demonstration of feeding their cattle. There was supposed to be like a sheep herding dog thing, but the sheep didn't come, so they just made do with doing more of an in-depth farm tour, which I thought was really good. It was really, really cool, and I definitely learned a lot. So thanks so much for coming along with us for our Open Farm Days tours of 2026, and we can't wait to see you again next year.